All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. We're so happy you're here. And today we're going to be talking about when you change yourself, everything in your world changes. So often we want change, we want new results, but are we truly willing to change? And do we know that we're the changing point that changes everything else? So Arash, I'm so excited to get into this topic with you today. It was your idea. And I know that this is something that you have a lot to say about.
Yeah, there's a moment in your life where you're just done and where enough is enough. Where being sick and tired isn't something you're going to tolerate anymore. And it doesn't have to happen from a disaster. It's just an inner knowing I'm meant for more. Like everybody's meant for more. But everything begins the moment you change. Like I remember for me, 20 plus years ago now, there was this moment that I was like, there's got to be more. And I went and was searching for the truth. But really what I did was decided to change, even though I didn't know it at the time. And when you look, the world we're living in, we created that world. Like everything is coming from us, the good, the bad, the adversity, all of it. So my first question is I want everybody to look at their current results in their life, their relationships, their income, their passion. Are you doing what you love? And if you're not doing what you love, I think this episode is going to really strike you in a great way because life goes by so fast. And I've never seen anyone create fulfillment when they're not in love with the ideas they're working on. But Mike, what I want you to think about is life is a mirror. So if we don't like what we have, or if we even like it, but we've gotten kind of stalled with it, there's no inspiration, it's time for a change because results aren't random. They reflect our identity, and they tell us this is the identity I've been most loyal to.
You know, Arash, I think that there might be a lot of different thoughts that pop up for someone whenever they hear you're the thing that has to change. And it's either, well, how do I change? Why do I have to change? Or it's like, I'm going to push into the will and I'm going to change no matter what. So what is the right way to approach changing yourself?
The first thing, you've got to decide to change. Like change doesn't happen until you decide. Like I'm forever telling our clients, one of the two most important questions is deciding who am I going to be and who am I not going to be. But what happens is people try to change results without changing themselves. And I can tell you that for 3 years, I've been studying this. Like one of the greatest gifts I ever got was the importance of personal development. But for 3 years, I was reading all the books. I was binging anything I could. At that time, they were on CDs, and nothing in my outer world was changing. Why? Because I didn't change on an internal level, on the identity level. So what happened, and I could say it for me, is I attempted new results with old patterns, outdated beliefs, and expired standards. That's what I did. Because I say this all the time. You never rise to your goals. You fall to your standards. You're always falling to your standards. And we have to really look at our results. That's why I said I want everyone to take a good look at your results. They're going to tell you what's really going on inside of you. Now, a lot of people want to deflect that. I encourage you not to deflect it because it's a great opportunity to expose it, because once we expose anything, we can change it. We can say, oh, this is happening. Oh, this is the pattern. Oh, I keep saying I'm going to do something and not follow through. But when you expose something, that's the moment everything starts transforming.
I want to dig into something you said there, because you said they might be watching the videos or listening to the podcast or even doing a coaching program and thinking that is going to do the change for them. You have to change. Those things can't change it for you. So no matter if you listen to this podcast every week or another podcast or watch videos every week, if you're not doing the work to change, this can't change it for you.
Yeah, it's a great point you brought up, because what happens is they listen to give them hope, which hope is great because it gives us options, right? But it doesn't give us change. Change happens through the implementation. When you work the ideas work. Transformation begins when you say, I'm done being this version of me. I'm done. I'm done saying I'm going to do something and I'm actually going to do it. Because life responds to identity more than anything else. When you shift who you are, everything recalibrates. Everything starts recalibrating. And That's why we've got to start taking a look at what are we actually implementing. If we just observe ourselves and say, this is how I want to live, but how am I speaking? If our language is not aligned with how we want to live, I promise you, your identity is not aligned. Then you look at, who is my environment? Who are my mentors? What is the circle I'm in? What are the type of actions I take? So think of a moment you changed internally. Like, there's this one moment that everybody has that they're like, oh, I remember when I made that non-negotiable, irrevocable, no shit, no kidding decision, and I followed through. Well, the minute you did that, your decisions change, your standards change, and your self-worth change. And then you know what starts happening? Everybody has an experience like this. Opportunities started appearing. Momentum started becoming not just random, but consistent. And then people started treating you differently. I remember when I started really changing. I remember one day my wife was telling me, she's like, do you not notice how different people are treating you now? I really didn't notice it until she said it. Well, what happened is my resonance changed because internally I changed. See, the world started reorganizing everything around my new identity.
Okay, I love the way you just worded that. The world started reorganizing itself around your new identity because so often we think that we have to orchestrate everything. We have to be in control of everything. We have to change other people and other circumstances. But what you're saying is all you have to change is yourself. That's
it. But we got to understand, like, a lot of people want to change. I don't know anyone who doesn't want to change, right? They just don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I always say the only thing people are missing is direction. They don't need more information. They need the proper direction. When somebody who's further than you installs belief, your standards automatically change. But when you get somebody in your corner that gives you direction for a spaced amount of time, you're going to change so rapidly. But how do we change? Like, I can tell you how I change. I can only deconstruct me. And because I've been with me my whole life, I became radical and relentless with self-honesty. I started identifying the patterns, the emotional patterns, the behaviors that were shaping my life. Because awareness is everything. Why is somebody earning $100,000 a year and then somebody else earning $1 million a year? They have the same potential. It's just awareness. Okay. So first is really be honest with yourself. Where am I right now? Where am I right now? And here's the dangerous of not being honest. The old identity is going to always drive the bus. It is always going to drive the bus. That's the danger. And then you have to align emotionally with the new version of you. You have to embody that you're the best in the world. You have to embody worthiness. You have to embody certainty. And you have to embody confidence and the power you have inside of you. So you got to get to know yourself.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something really good there. You said you have to be honest with yourself. And let's take it. Why would you not be honest to yourself? We do it as a defense mechanism because we think it'll make us feel better. But what we're doing to ourselves by not being honest is so much worse. We're delaying what it is that we really want. We're almost like withholding the change that we're seeking because we're not willing to look in the mirror.
It's another great point you brought. But why are people not honest? Because the ego is driving the bus. I have to protect myself. I have to do this. They don't know me.
Or if I don't acknowledge it, it's not true.
Look, I'm only focused on being honest with me, because I know me. I'm with me. I know what are the thoughts that are coming in. I know the excuses, right? Mm-hmm. Or I know when I'm in ownership, but once you shift and start being honest, everything is going to change. But we have to declare our new identity. Identity is not discovered. You choose it. You choose it by changing. So you choose it by deciding who you're going to be before there's ever evidence. Like, I had to decide it before everybody in my circle thought I was freaking nuts. They did. They thought I was nuts. And I'm telling you, but the only person who didn't think I was nuts was me. And there's only one person who has to believe in the new you, and that's you. So once you understand this, you're going to propel yourself. In the time of recording this, we're at the end of 2025, right? But I want to change so often. Like, I want to literally change every day. And I know if something is coming inside of me that is not feeling right, that's my old self. And I got to do some work, or else I could put a Band-Aid on it. I can avoid it, but it's going to come 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, a year. And I'm going to have to deal with it at some point. So I always say, why don't we deal with it now?
Yeah, what about time?
Yeah, I mean, you know that with me because you're around me a lot. Like, I don't know how to suppress. Like, I always say sometimes I wish I did know, but I don't know how to do it. You know, because if I feel something, I'm like, I got to get it out of me. I have to get it out of me. A lot of people
will let nothing slide, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing.
I don't know how. I genuinely do not know how.
Yeah.
But what happens when we change, we got to act on the new change right away. We can't wait on that change. We've got to understand that behavior installs identity. And every action, this is huge what I'm about to say. Every action is a vote towards our new self. Every action. So if you're about to procrastinate and say, I'm not ready, I promise you that's a vote towards your old self if you give in. But,
you know, Arash, one of our most loved episodes that we've ever done, we got the most comments on it, was the one that we just recently did on receivership. And what I want to ask you is, when it comes to change, is there a delicate balance or a specific approach or attitude to change that is somewhere in the balance between receivership and like willing yourself to the new person? Or is it just approaching it? I mean, I wanted you to talk about the approach and the attitude specifically.
Well, the approach is kind of what I'm going over. That's the approach. That's the framework. You know, so if you look at the approach, it's number one, we got to expose and be honest with ourselves. Number two, we've got to recalibrate our emotional state as our future that we want to create. Number three is we've got to declare and choose who we're going to be. Who am I going to be? And before you can choose who you're going to be, you got to choose who you're not going to be. And then we got to act and install the new behaviors. But then the last part is we've got to reinforce it daily. Reinforce it daily. And when we do that, everything will change.
This is so good. So how quickly, you said you like to change every day. So let's say someone's not used to changing every day, because I don't think that you always changed every day. That's something that you worked up to. How quickly can you change? Especially if you're not in the habit of changing frequently at the moment.
You literally can change every day once you start mastering yourself. You literally can, but don't judge yourself. You're either living the world of your old identity or the world is responding to your new identity. And see, most people are working so hard, Mike. They want to change, but they're making the same decisions over and over again. They never get out of their comfort zone. They're so addicted to comfort because the old paradigm is, what if it doesn't work? I don't know what to do. Everyone is so obsessed with the how when the how doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you look at everybody's results, I'll look at my results, right? That has nothing to do with my future results. I can change and I can decide to create 10 times what my results are. 10 times. But the key is the real work. The real work is the work that you're avoiding. The real work is being honest with yourself. Everything else becomes easy. It becomes easy to get in control of your thoughts when you want something so big, when you want something so badly. So when you shift you, life is going to shift with you.
In what ways, or what are some examples that you think people make this harder than it has to be?
They don't connect change to changing their life. They connect it with willpower. They say, I'm going to go lose 10 pounds. So they get on a diet, they'll lose 10, they gain 20. Mm-hmm. But they never said, I'm going to change the image of being a healthy person. Like when I started creating significant prosperity in my life in terms of wealth around money, I had to change who I was. So when we're changing, it's not about getting. The gift is who I'm becoming. The gift is in becoming. Where I used to hesitate, now I act right away. And I've been doing it forever. But before, I would always need everyone's opinion, right? So the becoming is the greatest gift. I remember when I was first studying this philosophy, I was studying Jim Rohn's work. And I didn't understand it, but he said, success is by the person you become. And I was like, that makes so much sense, but I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't understand what becoming meant. I didn't understand. That means I had to change my character. I had to become more. I had to do more. I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to eliminate procrastination. I had to eliminate starting and stopping. That's what I mean by becoming. But none of that happened until I decided. And I always tell this story because I had this come to Jesus moment with myself where I was like, dude, you are such a fraud. You're never following through. I remember it. I was in my old house in front of the mirror. And I always think, what was my wife thinking? Like we were married and I kept telling her we're going to do all these things. And then I never followed through in the beginning. Like I honestly didn't know how to study it right. That's the reason. It wasn't lack of effort. It was lack of understanding. And that's why I'm always so grateful for my mentor, Bob Proctor, because he kicked me in the ass in such a good way. And I'm so forever grateful for him. He got me to understand what was possible. He got me to understand how to use my mind and how important thinking was. But none of that would have worked until I decided that I didn't care about my circumstances because those were created from the past. And I was aware of that. But it was time. It was time to step up and step out of my comfort zone. And everybody can do that. Anybody can do that. But the key is you have to decide right now. You can't decide January 1st. You've got to decide right now that 2026 is going to be the single best year of your life. And then you've got to talk to yourself like this, that I'm stepping in to the 10x version of me that my dreams require. Yeah. I'm stepping in. And when you do that, evidence is going to follow.
One of the best things that I've heard you say today is you said the gift is in the becoming. And what I take away from that you mean, especially as it relates to changing yourself, is that would you say, and would you agree with this, and please speak on it, overall, most people have too much focus on pushing towards what they want and not enough focus on elevating themselves to who they want to be?
Oh, absolutely. You know why? Because they're letting the old self drive the bus. We got to kill off that old self. We got to kill it off thousands of times. But here's the thing. If one person can do a thing, anybody can. That was what I kept telling myself all day long when I was struggling. Well, they're not different than me. Why am I not doing it? So it started creating belief inside of me. And all of a sudden, my environment started changing. I started attracting people that were so much further than me. And then that was like a sign for me of what the good that was coming. But it's kind of like how I started this. When you change yourself, you're going to change your world. The whole world is going to change around you. Like everybody is not seeing the world as it is. They're seeing it as their program. That's why our greatest responsibility in life is to reprogram ourselves every day. And you do that with your thoughts, you do that with your feelings, and you do that with your actions.
So good. We've talked about results being a report card. And so the results that you have right now are just the reality that your current self has earned. And if you want to earn a new reality, you have to change you. You can't bring your current self to that new reality.
All the results is an input of what you've been doing. That's all it is. That is all it is. And as you change the input, the output's going to change. So the question I have for everyone, are you going to decide to change today? Are you going to really change significantly and say, enough, I'm done? Mm-hmm. And draw a line in the sand and then start writing out, who am I going to be in 2026? And then start becoming it these next few weeks to end the year. Now you're going to have so much momentum and you're going to collapse time and you're going to create so much confidence by starting to install the new you. That means you're going to get out of your comfort zone. That means you're going to speak convicted to yourself with worthiness. That means you're going to start stepping into possibilities, not limitations. You've got to eliminate all the limitations. And how are you going to become more valuable? You got to grow. You got to become more. I remember one day when I was first starting, I told my mentor, X was too expensive. He said, it's not too expensive. You can't afford it. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I remember that like it was yesterday, and he's like, nothing is expensive or not expensive. It's all in how you're thinking about it. And I remember, okay, I got to change this.
Oh, that is good. It's not too expensive. You can't afford it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's get into an action step for today.
I want everybody to imagine that it was impossible for 2026 not to be the single best year of your life. If that was the case and you were talking to a friend, they said, what did you do? I've seen how much your world has changed. What would you have changed? Mm-hmm. And then write it down, because remember, we got to get it on paper. We can't keep it in our mind. When you write it, it creates an image in our mind. Now it becomes real. We just activated it. Yeah. And that's the single best thing you can do.
I love it. Arash, thank you so much. This was fantastic. Thanks to all of you. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and leave us a rating and review or share this with your friends and family members. And I want to encourage you to do one thing as we wrap up 2025 and we head into 2026. If you don't yet have a solid morning routine, go over to vosscoachingco.com right now. Download our Millionaire Mornings guide. It will help you start your day right and transform your life one morning at a time. We'll see you next week on another episode of the 7-Figure Standard podcast. Thanks, Arash.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 7-Figure Standard. We hope you found the insights and strategies helpful on your journey to success. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help us reach more people like you. To learn more about Arash and Mikey and how Voss Coaching Co. can help you achieve your goals and reach new levels of success, visit vosscoachingco.com. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of 7-Figure Standard.